Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Triangle Investor Interviews. I'm your host Lucian Valkovic, and before I announce my guest, just a reminder of a disclaimer: this interview and all my interviews are not a recommendation to buy or sell any shares, products or services. Always do your due diligence and consult with your financial advisor. We are joined today by Scotty Resources CEO Mr. Brad Rourke and Thomas Mumford, who serves as the president of the company. Gents, delighted to have you both here today. Welcome.
Thanks, Lucian.
Thank you for coming both here. You have been pretty busy, like I said before we hit the record button, throughout June and July. Of course, you were busy before. However, those 2 months you were pretty busy. So I would like to specifically cover those achievements today. Brad, maybe the first question goes to you. I believe you had a press release yesterday where you announced the start of the 2025 drilling program with 3 diamond drill rigs. Correct me if I'm wrong, targeting resource expansion and de-risking at the Scotty Gold Mine and Blueberry Contact Zone to inform you for the PEA that is due, I believe, in October. So my first question: how are you prioritizing the balance between infill drilling to convert inferred to indicated resources and step out drilling at high potential targets? I believe you have them more than one. One of them is, I believe, Wolf Zone. Okay, sorry, long question. You can answer it.
Okay, well, I'll start off by saying yes, we do have 3 drills on site. I think a 4th just showed up. So the drill program is well in motion. We've been drilling for a while. I read a drill report that came out from on site. Everything's going really well. Now, those drills started a couple weeks ago, but because we were part of that Ocean Partners deal, we were really just kind of holding back news just in order not to show our hand on anything. Now, the second part of your question was about balance between resource expansion and making indicated. Maybe I'll let Thomas, since he's in charge of all things technical, he can give us a little bit of information on that. I certainly could, but since it's Thomas's department, we'll let him speak on that. But yes, we're happy to have drills turning. We think the weather's been great, which is good for up in that area, and production is right on schedule for what we've been doing in the past. So far, all good.
Yeah. Okay. So the drilling that we're doing, like when we step back and look at where we want to be in a couple years' time, like with a fully permitted mine, and we work backwards from there. One of the biggest factors there is that we need to submit a mine permit amendment, and the pillars that are supporting that are permitting for that, which includes the baseline studies, and then the drilling, which we want to increase the confidence in the resource, so taking it from inferred to indicated so that we can create a feasible level mine design. So that is a big focus of what we're doing this year. So we're looking at probably 80% of our drilling is drill holes that are targeting the increase from inferred to indicated. But just the nature of our deposit, where we're situated on this contact between the siltstone and the andesite, and most of the mineralization is right there, and all the veins are kind of stacked in an array, we have the ability to extend holes through the indicated sections that we're testing for, and then test new targets in the siltstone side of it. So a lot of these holes are doing double duty in terms of infill drilling, taking it from inferred to indicated, but they're also allowing for expansionary with just minor meters added to them to step out further into the siltstone side, which is where we've seen the veins extend in the last few years. The remaining budget of meters that we have, the last 20%, a big chunk of that will go towards hydrological drilling, geotechnical drilling, but then the expansionary, full exploration type holes, which you mentioned is the Wolf Zone. That's kind of our premier exploration target this year. That was a discovery we made last year. Steps out in a really nice area adjacent to the Scotty Gold Mine, the historic workings there. So it's close to infrastructure, but it's a brand new zone. It was a 700 meter hole that we drilled last year. We hit the mineralization, I think, of around 300 meters, and so we'll be coming into that again this year. It'll be one of our first heli holes this year, just to expand on that Wolf Zone. So that'll be our pure blue sky exploration target for this year.
Sure. Can you give me some color on and explain the geological characteristics that make this high probability target?
Yeah, so the mineralization at Scotty is really purite pyrite rich veins. That's the common trait between all the different zones that we have, from the Bend vein at the kind of the northeastern quadrant of our project, all the way to Domino in the southwestern quadrant of the project. There's really a band of mineralization and different zones that we're targeting. But the purite pyrite rich veins is really the premier kind of source of the highest grade mineralization that we encounter. Now, those veins generally occur in clusters, and there's a localized structural control on it. So the orientation of the veins at Scotty are different than the orientation of the veins at Blueberry, but within one of those zones, the veins are very consistent, and we're able to predict where they are. So what we see at Wolf Zone is an extension of that same consistency of the other zones at the Scotty Gold Mine. So the Scotty Gold Mine being the main zone, being M Zone, where they produce, let's call it 95% of the ounces. The O Zone, which is adjacent to it, they started producing when the mine shut down. We have identified the P Zone, which is further to the northwest or northeast of that. But now the Wolf Zone is down to the other side. It's an extension vein on the other side of the Scotty Gold Mine. So the periodicity between these things is very uniform. And so the Wolf Zone fits very well into that. The orientation of the veins, as we've projected them, fit well within that model. So we think it's a continuation of the mineralization that we see at Scotty, and so that we have big expectations on that as well.
Understood. Brad, the financing part, that is a question definitely for you. I believe that was at the beginning of July, the financing of 16.8 million, including 6 million equity investment from the Ocean Partners. That supports drilling program and other development activities. How does this financing structure, particularly in a charitable flow-through funding, enable Scotty to accelerate the drilling and technical studies while maintaining financial flexibility for the PEA and beyond?
Sure. So, I mean, the charity flow-through structure is really, really good for us, because the actual benefit that the government gives actually goes to the company and not to the investors. So it allows, Ocean Partners is a UK-based company. Their whole $6 million participation in this financing, we're converting all that to charity flow-through. So even though we only issue $6 million worth of shares at 88 cents, we're receiving about $8.4 million for that. So that just means less dilution. And then it prints like 16 million, but we really only have to raise $12 million hard. It's kind of, now that Thomas is running the company, so to speak, my only job is to make sure we get this financing across the line. And it's been going quite well. I've been away for the last week. I had a family vacation booked months and months ago. So I kind of came back to my desk and, just picking up orders here. We're 80% done right now. And we've only really have gone out to the existing shareholders. So we've had great response from that. I'll be working really hard this week here, just kind of finish that off. And that'll give us a big enough budget to do our largest drill program we've ever done. And then a lot of the permitting steps that need to be done, these long lead times. If we do want to make sure that we come into production in 2028, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that we can't put off to next year. So, and Thomas has that, it's implemented. We've got a whole bunch of different types of workers up there than we've had in the past. So more than just drilling holes. So, we got to run really hard and fast to make sure we get that permit in 28, and seems like we're on track for that as well. So.
Excellent. Thomas, the July 15 press release highlighted the commencement of the environmental baseline studies with NISGA, I believe it's the name, Growth Corporation, partnered SLR to support the Scotty Gold Mine DSO project permitting. How are you integrating these environmental studies with the ongoing drilling and geotechnical data collection to ensure a cohesive approach to de-risking the project for the PEA, of course?
Yeah, so Yeah, I mean, the first step was to identify, the permitting pathway that we needed to take, the regulatory roadmap on where we would need to go through this. So we've identified that. We've identified where the critical lead time items are in that, and one of them being baseline studies, of which, a typical baseline study is 2 years of data collection. Some of the longest lead time items in that 2 year collection is primarily around water. So surface water, underground water, flow, like quantity and quality of that. And so SLR is an expert in this area. Big company, a lot of projects in BC ongoing. And they also have a partnership with the Nisga'a Nation. So the Nisga'a are our First Nation partners in the area. They've been operating there with us for the last 6 years. We've been 10 to 20% of our workforce has been Nisga'a employees over that time. So it was important that we brought them into that conversation and that they get firsthand on, what the environmental impacts of this would be. So that's the data collection that we're doing right now. As far as how we implement this with all the other things going, yeah, we are trying to double duty holes as much as possible. So a lot of the exploration holes that we've designed are also being used as geotechnical holes as well. So we're just, coring bigger samples out of them, but we're going through the same inferred indicated targets that we have and the exploration targets, and then using that for the geotechnical work to figure out what the slope stability would be. And we're doing the same with hydrogeology holes as well, where we collect ongoing water information from the underground water flow.
Yeah, Thomas, what is next? I mean, in the short term, what is next in the, let's say, next 30 days? What in the terms of exploration, what will you do?
We're hoping to receive our bulk sample permit in the near term. So that would be a big exploration upside for us and a new thing for us to do. It's a 10,000 ton sample that we put a permit application in for. The other thing that we'll be doing is continued exploration, starting these geotechnical holes and the hydro holes. Up to this point, we've been just drilling our exploration holes. So now that we've done the site tours with the groups at SLR, they've come out to site, they've picked out this is the place we think we want ongoing monitoring from, and so we'll be collecting the data from that. I guess other than that, it's business as usual. It's a lot of drilling. It's a bigger program than we've done in the past, substantially. So we're just kind of head down right now, right in the meat of it right now.
Sure. Brad, the partnership with Ocean Partners, of course, including their 6 million equity stake and 25 million construction loan that was announced, signals very strong external confidence. How does this strategic partnership, alongside you have another one, you have with Franco-Nevada as well, the royalty deal, how does that enhance Scotty's operational and financial capacity?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, from an investor's point of view, it should just give us validation. I mean, these are very large groups that have chosen to support us. So for that, we're very grateful. I mean, with the first, the last time we raised money was about a year and a half ago. That was the Franco deal, and we're still drilling off that Franco money right now. So, but to bring Ocean Partners in, now it took a long time to get that deal done, but we got it done right. And the fact of a $25 million US facility that's for that final mile of bringing this into production should give, an investor confidence that, yes, this is serious. This is going to get done. And for them to take such a big equity piece as well, again, just shows the confidence that these bigger entities have in the validity of this project. Of course, we spoke with all our partners, our larger shareholders, before engaging in a deal like this, and we have the blessings of our larger shareholders. We're pretty tightly held. I mean, just between now, we have Kevin Jennings and Ocean Partners. Between those two guys, that's 20% of the company just there. And I'm still just under a 5% weighting. Ross Beatty's maintaining his position in this financing, so that's very positive. So I think, there's 100 stories or 1,000 stories out there that we're all telling these great stories. But when you've been able to attract that type of attention from those serious players in the business, it de-risks things. Again, they see what we see. Obviously, we've had to articulate, here's our vision for the project. And of course, they giving us their little suggestions and stuff. But, very positive on that, on the project. And again, a $25 million US facility, which is very good terms from a from our point of view. We're not bound to that. We have wiggle room if we didn't like something there. So they were a real pleasure to work with. It took a long time. They make sure everything gets done properly. But I think, from an investor's point of view, today you can buy my stock cheaper than we've done any financings. But we're attracting some of the biggest and smartest guys in the world to support us. So we're very happy. And it won't be long. I think the big catalyst really is going to be in October when we come out with that PEA, which will not include this season's drilling. And we're still excited about what the numbers that PEA should show. And then, of course, we'll be able to add with the drilling that we've done this year for, if we do an updated MRE into 2026 and such. So, again, flattered. We're attracting the smart guys, real money, real support. And so, that should be good for us as shareholders.
Definitely. When you mention shareholders, how is the feedback from the recent, you had a lot of news flow. How is the feedback from the retail when it comes to the news?
Well, we get a few. So unfortunately, I lost my business development guy, Gordon. He's moved off and to run another company, and we're very happy for him. He's a good guy, and so I'm kind of running this all on my own. So I've just brought on another firm to help us, very, very well-known firm to help us with the business development IR functions. I'm just, because I've been offline for the last 5 days, just kind of sitting down and getting back at her. But, even this morning, there's a few retail guys and there's 50,000 here and there. And so we're just chipping away at it. The response has been good, although we're in the middle of the summer. So I don't know if everybody's at their desks at this time. But, I don't see any, there's no real naysayers, that's for sure. And so it's going well.
Okay. Thomas, back to project. The Scotty Gold Mine DSO project aims for a low-impact, high-margin operation, right? What specific geological or mineralization characteristics the Scotty Gold Mine and Blueberry Content Zone support this vision? And how will the 2025 drilling program results enhance the project's high-grade resource potential for the PEA?
Okay. So, the DSO works for Scotty largely because of its unique position. So I will talk about the geological characteristics, but it's really the infrastructure that really pushes on the DSO project and pushes us in that direction. The big thing for Scotty as the geological rationale for doing this is that we have high grade veins. The past production of Scotty Gold Mine, it recovered 16.2 grams per ton, and the head grade for the mine was 18 to 20 grams a ton. So if you're going to ship a product somewhere over the ocean just to get it processed somewhere else, you need grade. And so that's what the deposit has. It has grade. It has the ability to have very high grades. The cutoff grade when the mine operated in the past was 10 grams a ton. That was anything less than that was waste. And so when you drop the cutoff grade down to more reasonable levels, like 2.5 grams underground cutoff grades now, that makes the project work. In addition to that, the nature of the ore, so the pyrrhotite, the pyrite, have a strong affinity to density, well, because they're dense sulfide minerals, but also a chemistry. And what that gives you is the ability to separate ore and waste using ore sorting. So not only do we start with a high-grade product, we're able to further enhance that high-grade product even further with ore sorting. So starting with a grade of like the open pit, for instance, that we're putting in our resource, 3.2 grams a ton, we're able to upgrade that to 7-8 grams a ton with ore sorting. Starting at 7 or 8 grams at Scotty Undermine, you get that above 15. Same with Blueberry. So you have this deposit that already starts off high grade, but then the characteristics of it allow it to be further elevated with ore sorting. But then the other factors that really play into why this DSO project worked for us is, the road is already existing. We drive to site on something that used to be a historic haul road back in the 1970s for the Grand Duke mine. You've got power lines right up beside our property going to feed the Brucejack mine, green power from the Long Lake hydro system. But the biggest one is that we've got a deep water shipping port. So it's North America's northernmost ice-free deep water shipping port. This is where the concentrates for Newmont's Brucejack mine get shipped out, where Red Chris mines concentrate, where SK wants to ship their cons out. This is the northernmost spot, and it's only 40 kilometers down the road from us. So it's super accessible for where we are. And those factors all come together to say this is a project, built to be a DSO project.
Yeah, you have a pretty good infrastructure over there, as I remember. Has anything new? Are there any new builds over there? Any new infrastructure in the plan or in the works right now?
For the area or for us specifically?
I mean, for the area. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think the only big change in the recent times has been Ascot. They've upgraded part of the road over around their deposit. Obviously, they're having troubles now. The other is that there's a power grade upgrade going on just outside the town of Stewart to feed power to support Ascot in the area and boost up their mine. So, in terms of infrastructure upgrades, those would be the two biggest ones. There has been upgrades to the container port shipping facility in Stewart. So, a lot of big bulk materials, big piece of equipment are coming in there from Stewart now. So, I mean, if we need any large components, of which we don't need very many for our project at all, just because we don't have a mill, we don't have a tailings facility. But if anything large did need to be brought in, I mean, that port is now suited to bring in bigger equipment.
Yeah, you actually have two mills in the proximity of your project.
Yeah, you've got Bruce Jack to the north of us. It's about 15 kilometers north of the Scotty Gold Mine project. And then to the south of us, we've got Ascot, which is about 20K along the road. So, yeah.
Yeah. Brad, is there anything we didn't touch on the corporate side? You mentioned Rob's departure to another company, pursuing some other, the other role. He's a CEO at the new company. Do you plan to bring anyone else to the board? What's the plan? I mean, that part of the company, of the plan. What's the plan?
Okay, so if we're talking about the board, so Ocean Partners is going to get a board seat. We haven't rushed into that. We haven't decided who, but so we'll be welcome that sort of expertise just to strengthen our board. We've got a very independent board that all have different skill sets. So we look forward to that. You can never have enough information. Gordon leaving, I'm hiring two well-known business development people. Will get that as soon as I'm signing that this week, and then that'll, again, very respected, a lot of success within that group. Obviously, my phone was ringing, or not obviously, but my phone was ringing as soon as everyone saw that Gord was leaving, and I speak to Gord almost every day because now I have to help him out on how difficult this side of the job is. But yeah, apart from Ocean Partners getting a board seat, structurally everything stays the same. I mean, we'll get this financing put to bed here in the next week or so, and yeah, it's just a matter of keeping everybody safe out there and making sure those any mishaps come with the drills. Let's just get as much work as we can in, and so a lot of news flow coming from now. And as you can see, we were kind of quiet while we were trying to get this off-taker deal done, and now we're loaded up with lots of news. So lots of good little things coming out here. Nothing's going to change except Ocean Partners on the board from that side of things.
Yeah, you mentioned news flow. I wanted to conclude this interview with the news flow. How will the news flow look going forward? Of course, you cannot share the specifics of the news flow upcoming, but in the terms of timeline, when can we expect?
Well, like I say, we put out something. Thomas mentioned that, we're waiting on putting out something on a bulk sample permit. So hopefully that comes soon. Again, we've been drilling for 3 weeks. We've got a bunch of completed holes, so you're going to see an awful lot of drill news coming out. But mostly, if people are looking for catalysts, I think that PEA, again, won't even incorporate this year's drilling, but we're pretty confident that should show a lot of value there. And of course, people who've done deep dives see what we see. So a ton of news coming out from the drilling, the PEA, and then I don't think I'm missing too much from there. But that'll keep us a pretty consistent news flow from now into the new year for sure.
Okay, yeah. Guys, I really wish you luck with the drilling and of course with the company. Thomas, Brad, thank you very much for joining me today. It was a great interview as always with you two guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great day.